most girls, I think, would be happy that, oh my God, I got to have sex with Chris Brown. I didn't want that.
Chris Brown has officially filed a staggering $500 million defamation lawsuit against Warner Brothers Discovery. At the heart of the case is a documentary titled Chris Brown, A History of Violence, which Chris claims is packed with lies and damaging narratives. The documentary re-examines Chris's controversial past, but according to him,
young ladies, I mean, what's up, man? You got a girl or what?
Nah, I'm keeping my options open, so y'all be checking for me, you know what I'm saying?
does so with reckless disregard for the truth. It allegedly labels him as a serial abuser and rapist. Accusations, Chris says, are not only false, but have already been discredited. This lawsuit is about more than just the money. Chris claims the documentary has tarnished his reputation, derailed professional opportunities, and inflicted irreparable harm to his public image. After years of rebuilding his career post-Rihanna controversy, Chris says this documentary drags him back to square one. The stakes couldn't be higher, both for Chris's career and for the media industry as a whole. But why is this lawsuit such a big deal? For starters, $500 million is one of the largest defamation claims in recent memory. It's a direct challenge to one of the most powerful media corporations in the world. For Chris, this is a fight for his legacy, and in his words, a way to hold Warner Brothers accountable for what he believes is unethical and defamatory storytelling. It focuses heavily on the 2009 assault of Rihanna, a moment Chris has publicly taken accountability for, while also bringing up other accusations of violence and misconduct. However, Chris argues the filmmakers took it too far by presenting rumors as facts, even implying he's guilty of crimes for which he was never charged or convicted. One of the most controversial aspects of the documentary is its alleged framing of Chris as someone who forces himself on women. Chris insists this narrative is not only untrue, but dangerously defamatory. He claims that Warner Brothers Discovery and the producers ignored evidence he provided to disprove these claims. Instead, he alleges they pushed a narrative that portrays him as a violent, predatory figure for the sake of sensationalism and profit. This isn't just about revisiting old controversies. It's about creating new ones. Chris says the documentary uses accusations from unnamed individuals, questionable sources, and unverified stories to craft a damaging image of him. By blending truth with fiction, Chris argues the documentary leaves viewers with a false perception of who he is today. Chris is seeking $500 million in damages, a jaw-dropping figure that highlights just how serious he is about this case. He claims this amount reflects the loss of career opportunities, endorsement deals, and other revenue streams caused by the documentary. According to Chris, the damage to his reputation has directly impacted his ability to work in an industry where public image is everything. But the $500 million is about more than just financial losses. Chris says this lawsuit is about protecting his name and legacy. After spending over a decade working to rebuild his image and regain the trust of his fans, he believes this documentary has undone much of that progress. He claims the documentary unfairly portrays him as someone who hasn't changed despite years of taking accountability and growing as a person. Critics argue the figure is excessive, but Chris's team sees it as justified. In their eyes, Warner Brothers and the producers of the documentary not only harmed Chris's career, but also weaponized false narratives for profit. This case isn't just about punishing them. It's about sending a message to other media companies that there are consequences for crossing ethical lines. Warner Brothers Discovery is no small opponent. As one of the biggest media giants in the world, they have the resources, legal teams, and industry connections to fight back. This isn't just a lawsuit against a documentary. It's a direct challenge to a corporation with influence across entertainment, streaming, and news media. For Chris, taking on Warner Bros. Is a massive gamble. He risks further scrutiny and public backlash, especially as his critics point to his past controversies as evidence of his flawed character. On the other hand, Chris's team sees this as an opportunity to hold a powerful corporation accountable for what they believe is reckless journalism. The question is, will this fight cost Chris more than it's worth? Legal experts suggest that going up against Warner Bros. Could lead to industry blacklisting, especially if other companies see him as a liability. But Chris seems ready to take that risk, framing this lawsuit as a fight for truth and justice, not just for himself, but for anyone who's been misrepresented by the media. For years, Chris has worked to rebuild his image. From topping charts to selling out global tours, he's made it clear he wants to be known for his music and artistry rather than his past mistakes. He's addressed the Rihanna incident numerous times, taking full accountability and expressing regret for his actions. However, documentaries like this one threaten to overshadow his efforts. Chris's supporters argue that he's proven himself time and time again. They point to his dedication to his craft, his philanthropic efforts, and his growth as a person. But his detractors say his past is too damaging to ignore, and this documentary only serves as a reminder of why they believe Chris doesn't deserve redemption. This lawsuit, for better or worse, is now part of Chris's story. Whether it ends in victory or defeat, it's a defining moment in his ongoing quest to reclaim his legacy. For Chris, it's not just about clearing his name, it's about showing the world he's not the person the documentary paints him to be. Public opinion has always been a major factor in Chris Brown's career. From his meteoric rise to his infamous fall, fans and critics have played a key role in shaping his narrative. With this lawsuit, Chris is challenging not just Warner Brothers' Discovery, but also the broader cultural tendency to define him by his lowest moments. This fight comes at a time when cancel culture is a hot button topic. Chris argues that documentaries like A History of Violence feed into a one-sided view of celebrities where sensationalism and negativity take precedence over fairness and context. By suing Warner Bros., he's making a bold statement. The media shouldn't be allowed to rewrite his story based on unverified claims and outdated controversies. However, Chris's public image remains deeply polarizing. For some, this lawsuit represents a chance for him to push back against a system that often vilifies black male celebrities. For others, it's a desperate attempt to salvage a career that many believe is permanently stained. Either way, this legal battle is reshaping the conversation about Chris Brown and the media's power to influence public perception. If Chris Brown wins his lawsuit, it could have far-reaching implications for the entertainment industry. A victory would likely make media companies more cautious about the stories they tell, especially when dealing with high-profile figures. It could also open the floodgates for other celebrities to take legal action against studios and networks that they feel have misrepresented them. On the flip side, a loss could embolden media outlets to continue creating sensational content, even if it's not entirely accurate. Documentaries, especially ones focused on controversial figures, are big business. They attract viewers, generate headlines, and bring in advertising dollars. Chris's lawsuit directly challenges this business model, putting a spotlight on the ethical responsibility of media companies. This case also raises important questions about the line between free speech and defamation. Warner Brothers Discovery will likely argue that the documentary is protected under the First Amendment, but Chris's team insists it crosses the line into character assassination. The outcome of this case could redefine how much freedom the media has to tell stories about public figures. Chris Brown has often been compared to Michael Jackson, not just for his talent, but also for the controversies that have overshadowed his career. Michael, too, faced a media firestorm, with numerous documentaries scrutinizing his personal life and legal battles. However, Michael had the financial resources and influence to fight back, as well as a catalog of music so iconic that it transcended the scandals. Chris, on the other hand, doesn't have the same level of industry ownership or influence. While his talent is undeniable, his catalog doesn't hold the same universal appeal as Michael's. This makes his fight against Warner Brothers even more challenging, as he lacks the leverage to protect himself from industry backlash. But there's a key difference between Michael's situation and Chris's timing. Michael's battles with the media happened before the rise of social media, whereas Chris's fight is unfolding in a world where narratives are shaped and spread at lightning speed. This adds another layer of complexity to his legal battle, as public opinion can shift overnight based on viral tweets and trending hashtags. For Warner Brothers Discovery, this lawsuit is more than just a legal headache. It's a potential reputational crisis. As one of the biggest players in the entertainment industry, they're no stranger to controversy. But this case shines a spotlight on their practices in a way that could have long-term consequences. If Chris's allegations are proven true, it would raise serious questions about how Warner Brothers vet their content. Did they prioritize sensationalism over truth? Did they knowingly misrepresent represent Chris's story for the sake of ratings? These are the kinds of questions that could damage their credibility and make future collaborations with high-profile talent more difficult. But Warner Brothers has the resources and legal team to mount a formidable defense. They'll likely argue that the documentary is based on publicly available information and that it represents fair commentary on a public figure. Winning this case would not only protect their reputation, but also reinforce their ability to create hard-hitting content without fear of litigation. If Chris Brown loses this lawsuit, the consequences could be devastating. A loss would likely embolden his critics, solidify the damaging narratives from the documentary, and make it even harder for him to rebuild his reputation. It could also discourage other celebrities from taking legal action against media companies, as they may view the fight as futile. Financially, a loss could add to Chris's existing struggles. Lawsuits are expensive, and going up against a media giant like Warner Brothers Discovery means legal fees can quickly spiral into millions. Even if Chris can afford it, the financial toll could impact his ability to invest in his career and future projects. Most importantly, a loss would raise questions about Chris's decision to pursue the lawsuit in the first place. Was it a genuine attempt to clear his name, or was it a miscalculated move that only brought more attention to the controversies he wanted to leave behind? Either way, the stakes couldn't be higher for Chris Brown. Chris's lawsuit is part of a larger trend of celebrities pushing back against media narratives, from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle suing tabloids to Cardi B winning her defamation case against a YouTuber. Public figures are increasingly using the legal system to fight what they see as false or damaging portrayals. This trend raises important questions about accountability, both for celebrities and the media. While it's crucial to hold public figures to account for their actions, it's equally important to ensure that the media doesn't exploit them for profit. Chris's lawsuit puts this tension front and center, forcing us to consider where the line should be drawn. If nothing else, this case serves as a reminder that celebrities are human beings with reputations, families, and futures on the line. Whether you love or hate Chris Brown, his lawsuit is a powerful statement about the importance of fairness and truth in storytelling. Fans have been vocal on both sides of this controversy. Supporters argue that Chris is justified in suing Warner Bros., especially if the documentary contains false information. They believe this is his chance to finally set the record straight and hold the media accountable for what they see as years of unfair treatment. On the other hand, critics view the lawsuit as a desperate attempt to distract from Chris's past, and they argue that his reputation was already damaged long before this documentary and that he should focus on taking accountability rather than fighting the media. Social media has become a battleground for these debates, with hashtags like Justice for Chris Brown trending alongside calls for Warner Bros. To release the full details of their sources. The public's divided response underscores just how polarizing Chris Brown remains. Chris Brown's $500 million lawsuit against Warner Bros. Discovery is pretty wild. It's a defining moment in his career. For years, he's lived under the weight of his actions, navigating public scrutiny, media narratives, and personal mistakes. This case represents his most ambitious attempt to reclaim his story, not just for himself, but for his legacy. If Chris wins, it could set a powerful precedent for holding media companies accountable for sensationalism and misrepresentation. It could also open the door for other celebrities to challenge the narratives forced upon them. But if he loses, the fallout could be devastating, reinforcing the very narratives he's fighting to escape. In the end, this lawsuit isn't just about Chris Brown. It's about the power of storytelling, the influence of the media, and the consequences of unchecked narratives in the public sphere. Whether this case ends in victory or defeat, it will leave a lasting mark on how we view celebrities, the media, and the delicate balance between truth and sensationalism. Only time will tell how this chapter of Chris Brown's story unfolds, but one thing is clear: the stakes couldn't be higher.